So here is day 2 of me posting embarrassing videos of myself that I will later regret. Today we're going to talk about cutting the pieces and fitting them. We're going to talk about taping them and cutting pieces to fit individual spaces. Okay, so here I have some strips that I already cut. Now when you're cutting, it's physically impossible to keep your hand completely perpendicular to the table. You're going to bend it a little bit. So as you're cutting, you're actually creating a bevel. So we have the strips here, and they have a slight bevel on each side. So when you match it up, you want to make sure that the bevel on the yellow and the bevel on the white match. You don't want them to be against each other. That way, it can do a nice tight seam. So now we have our pieces cut, and we're going to tape them together. We'll just pull a piece of tape and kind of squeeze them together and put a piece of tape on. You can, pull it really tight, kind of like a butterfly bandage, and it will squeeze them together. Blue tape does have a bit of a give. It can stretch and then it pulls the pieces back together, but you don't have to be too aggressive with this. I want to kind of do this arrow teepee shape. So I'm actually going to take them together and cut it at one time. Kind of match them up as best I can. And cut this together. Now that's 2 pieces of veneer. Previously we had only been cutting 1 piece at a time. This is 2. So you really want to be careful to go very slowly. If you go fast or hard, it can smooth the top piece and then you won't have a matching cut. Ooh. So hold it down, nice and light. So now they match up. As we're working, you're going to be flipping this a lot, back and forth. I would suggest trying to keep the tape on one side, and you'll know why in the end, but it's not that big of a deal if you can't. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in this piece. So sometimes when I'm working with these strips, I want them to stay down. I don't want them to move around, so I'll just tape it to my mat. And then I can move this wherever I want. And I'm going to have it a little off center. So what I'm going to do is a little scary. I'm going to score that line. Now, because I'm not using a metal ruler, I could cut into the white and, that's no longer a straight line. So I'm going to be very careful and try and get as close as possible and just score a line. Nice and slow, nice and light. I'm going to take it out and I can see that score line. So I'm going to take the ruler and match it up. And I have a little bit of a tear out there, but that's okay because I can adjust where I put it. So I'm going to slide it back under. Make sure that corner is filled. And tape this side. Pulling it tight. Then I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to spin it around just so it's easier for me to cut it. Match up my ruler. Very lightly come in. Now you have to be careful when you get to this corner because you can slice right through it and slice into the white piece of wood. You don't want to do that. So sometimes I go backwards and just get the very edge. And then go back. Now, as we're talking about grain, I want to point out that this right here is short grain now. The walnut, the darker piece of wood, has fibers going this way. And since you have this tiny little point, these fibers are very small and very likely to come out. So you're definitely going to want to make sure to get a little tape over that corner to keep them in. We'll peel that over and look at that.